It's about I got to say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
Being able to run as he shoots the moon to the fans here in Green Bay.
That is a disgusting act by Randy Moss.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
What kind of shot is that?
Here we go. Goff from the gun to the end zone, and it's caught. Touchdown.
This is BS Sports.
And away we go. Welcome in,
folks.
Welcome in. Final show of April. Final day of April.
Yes.
Things are going good. Seth,
I'm
how
back.
the heck are you? Haven't seen you in a while. I mean, I've seen you,
But just
but not in the people haven't seen you.
that's true.
That's
true.
right. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, how have things been? To give the people
fantastic.
an update.
I'm glad to not be working every single night or every single Tuesday night at Home Depot now. That's every Tuesday during the day now.
All right.
So,
Well,
hey,
that's an update. That's
Yep.
something. There
Yep.
you go. Well, that's great. That's great.
Yes.
Anything exciting happen over the weekend? Was there anything exciting in sports?
let me think. There was like this draft or something.
Oh.
I think it was for football. I think it was the National Football League. I think had a
Probably.
draft.
I think we probably should cover that, right?
I
Like,
think
that
so. Yeah.
seems-
Like we should
This is
probably
real
talk about.
time figuring
Yeah.
this out. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a great show. We got a lot to talk about. I mean,
Yep.
we got a couple of brief contract extensions with the Lions. We got NFL draft, playoffs, NBA, NHL. A month of baseball is done. We'll briefly talk about that. We got
Yes.
a lot to talk about, but obviously the headline is the draft.
Yep.
So let's just start with our own teams. Just first things first. How are you feeling post-draft for your Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego?
Very good. I think they did a maybe not magnificent job, but they did a pretty good job in my opinion. A lot of people I noticed when we picked Mr. Joe Alt at number 5 were throwing temper tantrums, and I was sitting there thinking to myself, why is this such a bad pick?
Right. And I think I
I-
said the same thing to you. Like when
Yeah.
it was before they made the pick, when it was projected that they were going to go O-line, it was
Yep.
like, well, I mean, it's not a bad idea. It's never a bad idea to go O-line, really.
Yeah,
Like,
It really is not when you have Justin Herbert and everyone's like, why aren't we drafting receivers? And I'm like, who cares? Like as you pointed out, we got Lad McConkey in the
yeah.
second round. We have
And-
Brendan Rice. We have
You even got Cornelius Johnson out of Michigan, and
got
I think
Cornelius
he's going to be a
Johnson.
sneaky pick. I mean, he was a really
Yeah.
solid wide receiver out of Michigan, obviously national
gonna say.
champion, and a connection with the head coach. Like,
Mhm.
it's not as though it was like you get one pick and then that's it, right?
I think that's how
And-
people were treating it, which I thought was like so weird. I'm like, why wouldn't you take?
Yeah,
like,
you're
we have
taking best
Rashawn
player
S-
available too.
Yeah, and we have
Right,
Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt as two of our offensive linemen, who I believe will both be Pro Bowlers. Maybe Joe Alt. maybe
Yeah,
not
I
his
mean, you
first
never
season,
know with
but
a
still.
rookie, but he's coming out. He's one of the top. I think he
I
was
think-
the top ranked offensive lineman prospect.
He was
to
yep.
that point. He was the
6'9",
first
like-
lineman taken.
Yeah, he was
like-
6'9", 320 or something. He's insane.
Yeah, I mean, he's coming out of Notre Dame. They know how to make them boys. I mean, it's just
Yep.
like it's.
Yeah.
Looking at the draft, I mean, you got a lot of great pieces in it. I
Mhm.
mean, you got Junior Colson. That's another Michigan guy.
Yeah, he's a good
Uh,
linebacker.
You got You got Brendan Rice, wide receiver
Mhm.
out of USC. Obviously, a target of Caleb Williams.
Yep.
So I think
He
you
was a good
get
player.
like. Yeah, I think it's like you did pretty much.
I
You
think what
understood
we
the
needed to
assignment, and then
do.
Lad McConkey. I think he's going to be a stud. Like he was
Yeah.
a stud at Georgia, and
Mhm.
you put him with a stud quarterback in Justin Herbert.
I was gonna say.
Like to me, it's like, yeah, I think I don't really do grades necessarily, but there is an interesting post that I saw that we'll get to near the end here. And like, if I were to give this a grade, it's probably like at the lowest. Excuse me, it's at the lowest, probably like a B.
Yeah.
But like, that's probably just because
I gave
the
it an
Chargers
A.
were. Yeah, right. I mean, like the
Yeah.
Chargers are 5-12, or they were 5-12. So
I
it's
think
like,
anything. There's only
they
up.
need a lot of things, right? You lose Keenan Allen, you lose Michael Williams. You don't know if Quentin Johnston knows how to catch a football.
We don't know that yet.
You don't. I mean, you lose Austin Eckler, so you
Mhm.
might have a hole at running back. Who did you? You picked up that guy out of Baltimore, right?
Yeah, it was J.K. Dobbins and
Yeah, that's right. You guys are basically just the Ravens.
We're the
You're like the Ravens
the
running back.
Los Angeles Ravens. Yeah, I want to
That's right.
see. It's J.K. Dobbins, I
J.K.
think.
Dobbins
And
and
then,
something Johnson, right? I don't
or
know.
is it Gus Edwards? I think.
Or Gus Edwards. That's right. Gus the Bus.
Yeah,
I
Gus
think
the Bus.
I like Gus the Bus, and maybe I'm wrong to like him, but I don't know. I think his name is funny, so I
Yeah,
like
it's
him.
it's
That's pretty
J.K.
much my only
Dobbins
reason.
and Gus Edwards, the two running backs of the Baltimore Ravens, are now on the
Right.
Chargers.
Technically, you also drafted Kamani Vital, running
Yes.
back out of Troy.
Mm-hmm.
Any what is Troy? What are they, like the Trojans? Because that's what Troy is. That's where the name comes from. The Troy Trojans. That seems like
That'd be kind of
fit.
funny.
That
That would
seems
be
like the
kinda
only
funny.
name they could have. What are they like
Troy
the Troy anteaters?
Uh,
It's a scary animal. If you're an ant.
that's the true. I don't want
The
that.
Troy sloths. The Troy.
I think they are the Trojans
Okay, we're gonna
Yep.
go with that. But
because their mascot T-Roy is a Trojan.
ooh,
Very nice.
T-Roy. What a name. But I mean,
Anyway,
as far as
filling spots
improvement
is
of
what
the
we did.
team, I mean, like at this point, it really sort of depends how
They
well
do.
adjusted Jim Harbaugh is going to be to the NFL level, right?
Yep.
Like obviously he's going to be a decade removed of coaching in the NFL. A lot has changed since he was last a head coach for the 49ers.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of pieces to work with. He's got a franchise quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He's got some young pieces on the offensive side. He's got some studs on the defensive side in Khalil Mack, in Joey Bosa. Like he's got
long as they
plenty
stay
of
healthy.
pieces to be right. And like as long as they both stay healthy, especially Bosa.
Mhm.
But he's got the pieces. And
Yep.
I don't think you're not in a great spot in so much as you're in the Chiefs division. So you're probably not going to win that division.
No, I don't
But I
plan
don't
to.
know. I mean, like weirder things have
Better than-
happened.
Yeah, I think we'll be better than 5-12.
Yeah.
I would
And
hope.
you're also the other caveat to it is you might be in the Chiefs division, but you're also in the Broncos division. And yeah, that's it's
And
not
the
good.
Raiders.
And well, I'll give
Raiders
the
are
Raiders credit. I'm not gonna break down Raiders draft just because I don't know and I don't care that much. But I do like their coach. I do like Antonio Pierce. He feels like a Raiders coach.
yeah.
Feels like the first real Raiders coach since like
In
original John Gruden, not the second running John Gruden.
Yep.
When he
Yep.
was, like 100 years old and he didn't know where it was going, and then they
Mhm.
fired him. And
Poor
that was-
guy.
what a what a series of events that was.
Yeah.
It's weird that was like recent.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I remember all that going down, and like they're now two coaches
Mhm.
after that.
Yep. That's
And that's
crazy.
what happens when you bring in that Josh McDaniel. God.
Man, that guy. Yep.
I
Don't want to
don't
talk
know
about
who-
him.
Yeah, don't want to talk about him. But
Mm-mm.
I mean, the other thing I'm just looking to, I mean, you bring in some guys in the late rounds that might be able to make an impact. Tarib Still on a Maryland cornerback. You got Justin Egwigby.
That's how I pronounce his name. Yep.
Defensive tackle out of Alabama. As far as I'm concerned, you draft defensive players from Alabama, they're
You're
probably going to be
set.
okay.
Yep.
Like you're usually not going to be like terrible.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, like this was a really good draft.
No,
and
that's what I said. I gave it an A, and people were like throwing temper tantrums when we drafted Joe Alt, and I was like, I genuinely think, because that was the other thing. There was like two sides, and the main one was like, we need receivers. Like, who's Justin Herbert gonna throw to? And I was like thinking to myself, if the wide receiver class is so deep this year,
You're gonna
What-
find
we're-
guys.
like, so
Right.
what? We don't have Marvin Harrison. That's
Well, you
fine.
weren't gonna get Marvin Harrison anyway.
I know, he's going to
like
the
he
Cardinals.
was not going past the Cardinals.
No.
He was constantly mocked to the Cardinals. All the insider sources were saying they wanted to take it.
Yeah.
He wasn't going past them.
Or it's
So,
like
if
people
you
talking
wanted
about,
Marvin
like,
Harrison
Malik
Jr., you were supposed to.
Neighbors.
Yeah, but again, like you
I don't-
picked after New York, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like unless you wanted to use future assets when you're a team who just went 5-12, like you're not in the position to be trading up for a wide receiver who, I mean, I like Malik Neighbors. I don't know if Malik Neighbors is going to be good. Like, I don't know Malik Neighbors like Marvin Harrison. The only thing you could say about that is at least he is like basically a steal. Like he's a guarantee essentially.
Yeah.
Like the other thing about all these other wide receivers, a lot of them are very talented, but you never know. right?
And that's what I'm saying. Like, why waste number 5 on a receiver who could possibly flop versus who Joe Alt I think is going to be really good.
Yeah, Joe Alt was the
Like,
top-ranked offensive tackle
yeah. So why wouldn't
going
you
into
just
the draft. So it's like,
why wouldn't you take
why would you take the second-rate wide receiver who's like basically, you know, second pick,
a
right? Like,
gamble?
and a little bit of a gamble, right? As opposed to like securing that O line. I mean, your quarterback just got hurt. Like,
I know.
Like, what kind of you're either going to send them like.
I think that's what people forgot too. Is Justin Herbert got injured from getting
and
hit
again,
too much.
Like we said, and it's like you ended up just getting Lad McConkey, who could have gone in the first round. And you do still. I mean, we made the joke earlier. You do still have Quentin Johnston, and you know
We have Josh
sometimes
Palmer.
guys.
Josh Palmer isn't half bad. He's
That's
not
true.
great, but he's
That's true.
decent enough.
Like it's not necessarily the greatest class, but it's you can work with it at the very least.
Without a doubt.
But moving along to the Detroit Lions.
Yes.
So the Lions, obviously hosts of the draft, so it was very exciting. Lions, I think they did a pretty good job. They had much less picks, but they attacked the parts of the team that needed to be attacked. So they double up on corners. They take Terrion Arnold. They trade up to get him. He's the best corner in the draft, according to a lot of people, outside of maybe Quinyon Mitchell. But he was the best corner on Alabama. And then they take Ennis Rakestraw Jr. out of Missouri, another corner. They bring in Giovanni Manu out of British Columbia, who they also traded up to get. They bring in Sione Vaki, who is this weird plug-and-play running back, safety, DB kind of deal. And then a Mekhai Wingo and Christian Mahogany, guard and Wingo tackle. So they basically just go trenches, secondary. And that's all I could ask for. Like, I don't... Skill positions, not really a major need for the Lions. I mean, you look at that, like, we secured... I guess corner is technically a skill position. Is that how that... whatever. You secure the... Like, we went from... If you look at that NFC Championship game, we went from, in theory, having a starting secondary that included Kendall Vildor and... I don't even remember some of these other guys' name. Cam Sutton, who is not playing football anymore. And we basically just replaced it all. Like we flipped it. And it reminds me, like last year's draft, I mean, where, you know, going into the draft, people were like, well, you know, the Lions, they got a good running back room. And you know, we just flipped it, and this past year is one of the best running back duos in the NFL. I don't know if that's what's going to happen here, because not to disrespect Aaron Glenn, we don't know if he's going to be a good coordinator because he really hasn't had elite pieces. Like he's gotten pretty unlucky the last couple of years, especially last year where basically everybody in the secondary died. And so he was dealing with, you know, rookie Brian Branch, basically rookie Ife Melifonwu because he was getting hurt. And Hayden Hutchinson, the only really reliable force on the D line. So like, I think they attacked the things they needed to attack. Your secondary is secured. I mean, I could go down the list of guys that we have in there that are going to threaten the pass game.
I was going to say, even like you could, guys that weren't drafted too. Coming back and, you know,
that's true. I mean, it's like even like we get a Meek Robertson out of Las Vegas. We bring back Emmanuel Mosley. I don't know if he's going to be okay, but you know,
we'll see.
He's off of 2 ACL tears. He only has 2 of them. So there's no more of them to tear. And there was another one, Carlton Davis. Obviously, we go and trade for him out of Tampa Bay. Like, it's a completely different unit. And this is just what Brad Holmes will do. If he identifies an area where we can improve, and in this case, it's the secondary, he can just flip it like that. And I mean, like, I think there's a lot of sort of project in, say, this Manu guy who is basically being picked because of his measurables. Because I don't know if you saw the highlights of this guy from British Columbia. I mean, it's like he's playing with kids. Like he's like 6'5", 250 or something crazy. Maybe more than that. He's got like less than 10% body fat. And like he's just manhandling people. Like it's like he doesn't even care.
That'll be fun
it's
to
like
watch.
Zach Edey in college basketball. Like he's just kind of doing stuff because he's big and he bullies people.
That's it.
But no, I mean, like, and then I guess on top of it, getting a little into the offseason stuff, they re-signed St. Brown, they re-signed Panay Sewell, two
Yep.
guys that are all pro caliber guys. I think St.
Yep.
Brown's at the least a top 5 receiver, if not straight up top 3, maybe number 1 in the league. And Panay Sewell is just a stud. Like he's just a killer. You know, that's all he does.
Yeah.
Let's take a look what Armenian Man has to say. One more wideout, backup center, edge rusher, lines will be complete. I wouldn't disagree with that. I wouldn't really disagree. You know, they seem to be putting a lot of faith into DPJ. They obviously extend him after trading for him from Cleveland, and yeah, I think he caught like 3 balls. But yeah, I mean, I certainly wouldn't be upset if they go and grab, you know, another wideout. The thing about center and edge, I don't know who else is available. Did Jadeveon Clowney get signed? I want to say he did.
I can look. Yeah.
I want to say he did because he seems like he'd be the kind of guy that you can get on a 1-year deal. He was very productive, or maybe not very productive, but he was productive with Baltimore last year. And then as far as backup center, I don't know. I mean, like we have a lot of linemen on our team. He's a Panther. That's right. That's right. The Panthers signed him.
Like the
Panthers well, then it can't be that good because if they're signing him, he must be real desperate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, you know, these are the sorts of things too, Armenian Man, that can be acknowledged in a trade deadline, which is funny because I feel like I've said that a million times with this regime, and then we never do anything at the trade deadline.
And it can be solved if need be. But
right, exactly. If the pass rush is such that we need to just go out and get somebody, and there's an offer we can't refuse, a Godfather offer. I don't doubt that Brad Holmes will take it. At the same time, we've seen it 3 seasons at this point. He really doesn't make draft or trade deals at the deadline. I think the biggest deal he made in a trade, I don't even think it was a deadline move, was trading TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah.
And
that was close to it, right?
I don't remember when that was. Like, all I know is we traded TJ Hawkinson and then we started winning. I don't know if there's anything to say about that.
I don't know, but yeah, that was close to it. Definitely not a trade deadline.
But either way, I mean, like, for me, it's like, well, look, the Lions were basically a Josh Reynolds catch away from going to the Super Bowl. So, like, yeah, you acknowledge some of the needs. You replace those corners. Like, I don't have anything particularly against Kindle Vildor. He actually did better than one would expect given the situation. But it reminds me of an old, like, maybe not an old phrase, but like, you know you're good when the guys who used to start for you are your backups, right? Like it was one of those things like last year when like we'd have to pull out Craig Reynolds, and it's like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, Craig Reynolds was one of our starters. Like that's where we're at. Here's the measurables on Manu. 6'8", 350 pounds, ran a 5 flat. I mean,
that's
like,
insane.
did he emerge from Hogwarts? Is he Hagrid?
More than likely.
Like, what the heck? How do you even get that big? I don't need, like, 350 pounds. That's like a half an elephant. Like, how much does an elephant weigh?
That's a great question.
How
Let's
much
ask Google.
does an elephant weigh? Okay, never mind. It's not half an elephant. It's maybe like a quarter. No, it's not a quarter. It's like a baby elephant.
Let's see.
Probably.
What was his weight? 350?
He weighs 350. What's 350 divided 350 divided 8,800 pounds is how much an Asian elephant weighs.
Okay, let's do 8,800.
So divide that by 350. How many elephants is Emmanuel Manu?
It's a lot of elephants.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
I mean, like
it's like tiny. It is less. It's if you were to make it into a percent, it's about 3.9%. No.
Okay, but he's 3.9%. That's like a foot. That's like a foot of an elephant. I really dug myself a hole here. I should stop with animal comments. But still, I really like what the Lions did. We're probably not going to be talking much football, barring some other major moves that are made by either of our teams or in general. But other things we have to talk about this draft. Seth, I want to read to you something that came out right after the Falcons decided to take Michael Penix Jr. This is by Bleacher Report. Falcons GM suggests Michael Penix could sit, quote, 4 or 5 years behind Kirk Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
What pick?
You drafted this guy number 8.
Oh, that's
Like-
right. He was number 8.
Like, you
yeah, I don't
drafted
know why
him
they did
number
that.
8 to sit for 4 to 5 years?
That's nuts.
I
honestly.
don't. Okay, like there are some people that are doing a little bit of revisionist history, right? Yeah, so he's gonna be 30. Like Michael Penix will be, older than me, like by the time that he starts. Like
He's gonna be 30.
Like some people are doing this revision. Oh well, the Packers, they drafted. It's like Jordan Love was like 21, 22 years old when they drafted him, and then by the time he's ready to play of last year, then he's entering his prime. Michael Penix, I think, is as old, and maybe I'm wrong on this. You can double check this. Michael Penix is as old right now, I think, as Jordan Love was going into this year. I think that's right. Like Michael Penix is like 24, 25. He's
turning 24 on May 8th, so call it 24.
Michael Penix is 24 years old, and we're saying we want this guy to sit for 4 years.
And Jordan Love is now 25.
Right, so he's basically the same age, right? Like Jordan Love is 25 now, so last year he would have been 24. So like it's not the same thing. We're dealing and it also sets a bad standard for your quarterback room. I mean, like
they're gonna have like
Kirk Cousins is sitting there like, okay, like do you even believe in me? Like, I'm basically just here until I die, right? Until I get hurt. And then Michael Penix, like that's not a good situation for him. Like if he's in a pressure situation, your quarterback goes down. Well, you better learn quick, Mike. you better learn fast. Like it's. I just don't get it. I don't understand it at all.
Couldn't tell you.
It's just like, and when I read that, it was like as if I was taking crazy pills.
Yeah, I think the Falcons GMs, owners, management are all smoking crack. Not just my take.
And it's like, think of what you could have used that on. I mean, just looking at the guys that went out, you could have gone offensive line. You could have gotten another wide receiver. They already are loaded in skill positions. They got Bijan. They got Kyle Pitts. They got Drake London. But you could have added on. I mean,
you could have had just a super team on offense.
Like you could have drafted. You could have drafted O-line. You could have drafted edge. You could have drafted corner. You could have drafted any number, like literally anything else other than quarterback, and you managed to pick that.
Let's do.
And you probably could have even gotten Penix. Like,
oh yeah,
after the Falcons. Like, the only other quarterback that was taken after the Falcons, I think, was JJ. JJ and Bo Nix. 2 guys that both those teams had already settled on. Like, they weren't going to take Penix. Maybe 2 to 3 years from now, we'll all look stupid, and the Falcons will have, Michael Vick 2.0, even though that's not the kind of quarterback that Penix is. Yeah, he's not a running quarterback.
I understand what you're saying, but, like, I don't think, not in a million years is that going to happen.
Right, especially given the fact that like I have no trust in the Falcons management to begin with. Not to mention they hire Raheem Morris, who his only head coaching experience has been bad, right? Like has been not good. So it's like you're piling on things. You're piling on things that just aren't fun.
Who knows?
This is a good point, Armenian man. If they were gonna pick a quarterback to sit, it should have been JJ. Like he's young. He needs the time to sit anyway. He's still, kind of a developmental guy. And that's why the Vikings end up getting him. And it makes a lot of sense for them because they have Darnold on a 1-year deal who's going to be serviceable, especially with those weapons. Yeah. Like it's a perfect spot for JJ. And like,
somehow
I don't understand why. And they signed Darnold to a 1-year deal. Like they didn't just sign Darnold to a 4-year, $100 million extension. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's smoking crack. That's all I can attribute it to. Seriously. But I mean, minus them, nothing. Well, I guess and the Broncos too. The Broncos have like 4 QBs now in their QB room.
Yeah, they got Zach Wilson, they got Bo Nix, and they got who was the guy they had last year after they benched Russ? I can't even think of the guy's name.
I can't either.
It's like Joe Magoo.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Broncos QBs.
I think it was like Stidham, Jarrett Stidham. That's right. Thank you,
Stidham.
Armenia man. Yeah, Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah, so it's Zach Wilson, Bo Nix, and like I'm
I mean,
assuming
like,
Zach Wilson starts.
I don't get the Zach Wilson stuff. I mean, I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Whenever that happened, like, I don't. It doesn't make much sense to me why you're even bringing him in. Like, especially given the fact that they took Bonex. Like,
Yeah.
maybe like back then they didn't know if he was going to drop to them. But I don't. That
I couldn't tell you.
it just seems like there's a lot of teams that. I mean, I understand it from the sense of like when you don't have a quarterback, you do stupid things. It's like when it's like you are like you mentioned crack. It is like a drug addict, right? Like you're just like you need that quarterback. You'll do anything to get a quarterback. You'll get desperate. You'll start to close and squint your eyes when you think of Zach Wilson. You start watching BYU highlights.
You're just like, wow,
like it's
he's
like
so
whoa,
good.
he's really good. Until
And you're
like
like,
you open your
wow.
eyes a little wider and you realize that he's playing in an empty stadium against, the little sisters of Helen Keller and Sadness.
Yeah.
But no,
Anyway.
I mean, as far as other questionable moves, honestly, like I think outside of that, it was pretty like, yeah, I understand all these moves. I will say one
there was
thing.
none other that I could think of. That
There
was it.
there was one thing that made me very sad, and it wasn't really that I didn't think the move was the right move for that team.
Yep.
It was more for my own personal growth as a person and my own feelings and emotions.
Let's hear it.
Philadelphia Eagles, they took my boy. They took my
yes.
baby boy. They took Cooper DeJean.
Yep.
My baby boy.
Yep.
I think I heard or I saw a post of like who's done more for sports, Tiger Woods, Jackie Robinson, or Cooper DeJean.
There was a
civil rights
reporter.
hero.
Yeah, there was a reporter who asked Cooper DeJean about being a starting white cornerback.
I know what
He's
you're
like
talking about.
He's like you're the first one in like however many years, and then he just sitting there
probably
like
since before like the last starting corner that was white probably was before they allowed black people to play.
Yeah, and he was just sitting there. He's just like, if I get out there and I get to play, like he answered it great, but I'm like, what kind of stupid question is that?
Okay, again, I think he's going to be a fine player with Philly. He got a first-round grade. I mean,
he'll be good.
He's definitely athletic. And
he's gonna be
all
good.
jokes aside, I mean, Iowa defensive players, you can't go wrong. That place knows how to make defensive players.
Yeah, he's gonna be good.
But I thought it was sad because I hate the Eagles and I hate Philly sports because that city is
and now they have
absolutely insane. And now they have my baby boy, my beloved. If the Lions didn't get like Rakestraw, I would have liked them to take DeJean. Mostly because I think it would be funny, which is why they don't make me the GM. I just talk about things.
Yeah.
But I wanted to take a look at this tweet here. This comes out every year. Basically, it's the NFL draft grade GPA, and it's just this massive chart where they get a bunch of different publications and like writers, and they just put all of the draft grades that they put out, and they make a GPA out of it. So, because immediately we want to look where our teams are at. The Chargers finished 7th. They had what looks like, I believe, a 3.57 or
something like that.
I can't really tell because it's hard to like.
It's a 3.5.
Yeah, it's in the top 7. The Lions finished 11th. Some of the teams in the bottom. Obviously, we were just talking about them. The Atlanta Falcons. They did get 1A from Vinny Iyer of Sporting News.
Fire that guy.
I don't know who Vinny Iyer is. But
no one is going to because he's not going to be writing for sports anymore.
Right.
How in the hell do you give him an A?
I don't think there was any Fs. I can't see. The worst grade that was given out was a D- to the Falcons from Charles McDonald of Yahoo Sports. But I don't know. I think this is kind of interesting. Bottom 3, we've already mentioned the Falcons. The Browns were down there, which is not great if you're the Browns. So that's a team that really needs to improve off of what was a pretty surprising season. Carolina Panthers, obviously. Yeah. I'm a little surprised at where the Broncos landed. They're landing 28th. I guess it's like a little bit of recency bias with some of this stuff. I'm also a little surprised with the Bills. I kind of like what the Bills did, minus trading out of a first round. I thought that was kind of weird.
They got Keon Coleman, which I think is pretty cool.
They did.
I'd hardly be a Bills fan for that, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, what do you mean? He's a Florida State Seminole. He didn't go to any other school.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah.
But
I went to
oh,
school
and
in Michigan
one
though.
more. I want to say one more thing because I just noticed the Saints here. So
Yes,
the Saints took Spencer Rattler late
I
in
noticed
the
that.
draft, and I just like maybe I'll look like an ass for this later on, but like I don't understand why people suddenly think Spencer Rattler is good. I feel like I'm getting gaslit. It's like the guy transferred out of like 3 different schools, like multiple
South
schools.
Carolina.
Clearly he didn't, and he ends up in South Carolina, and then eventually he figures out how to be like pretty good.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's like I don't. Maybe he'll turn out to be good. I don't know. I
We'll have to
I
see.
had to mention that in case there's any Spencer Rattler truthers. I'd love to know, like, why do I have to
I
believe
would
in a
too, to be
guy?
honest.
And he was a guy that was supposed to be like, I remember when it was like his rookie year,
Yeah.
maybe his second year at Oklahoma, he's supposed to be like a first overall pick.
I
And he
remember
just
that.
completely dropped.
Yep.
It's like
Yep.
it was
Fell off
like
the face of
him
the
and who's the Sam Darnold or not
Sam
Sam
Darnold.
Darnold, Sam Howell. I get my bad quarterbacks named Sam mixed up.
Yeah,
But it was like
Howell.
those
I
two
forgot.
guys were
Yeah.
like, oh, this draft class is gonna be. It's like those two guys didn't even.
No.
Don't even. They're well. I guess we'll see about Rattler, but
got
Howell is
drafted
not even on the
7th.
team that he got picked by. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
I don't know.
yeah,
I think, I think it's pretty accurate. I mean, for the most part, this thing that
I mean,
came
like the
out, so
Steelers. Look at the Steelers.
Steelers are
3.92. I mean, they
that's
really
insane.
bolster that O line.
They did.
They're trying to build around Russell Wilson. I don't know if it's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it works out.
Yeah.
I am a little scared of the Bears.
Those
Obviously
Bears
they
are
get
gonna
Caleb.
be pretty good if Caleb Williams is good.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, and I mentioned it on last week's clip, is that Caleb Williams has the potential to just end up being a bust, because of the fact that, for one, he's getting drafted by the Bears, and the Bears have not ever had a good quarterback. I'm pretty sure that's like if you can look through their I think their best quarterback since they won the Super Bowl was like Rex Grossman,
Yeah.
which is not great.
No.
But at the same time, they've also I don't think they've picked number 1 overall at any point
That is true.
since then. And Caleb Williams, I mean, clearly he was at least very good in college. He seems like a surefire thing, and that's why I get nervous because sometimes these
Yep.
guys they get told they're pretty all the time, and then they get into the NFL, and
And they're like,
suddenly
"Oh."
you're strip sacked, and you're
Yep.
angry with your teammates, and nobody likes you, and you're Justin
like,
Fields.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that like every Justin Fields stan just is like
It's now
it's
just
just gone.
Yeah.
I
reduced to Adam.
remember when he got an MVP vote? I just want I
do.
will never let that go. Like the
No.
fact that he got an MVP vote for running around like a chicken without his head on is ridiculous, and I will
Mhm.
never let NFL media away with that.
Yep.
Never.
Understandable.
This is true. The only thing the Bears need is an O-line, and they don't have one. So that is going to be their downfall if they're going to have one. But they still have a lot of wide receivers. I mean, obviously they bring Odunze, and they got
They have
Keenan Allen,
Keenan Allen.
and
That's insane.
they got DJ Moore, and they got the Cole Kmet, tight end.
That's
So they
tight
got
end.
weapons. I don't know who's on their defense. But
Not
whatever.
anyone I think that's major. At least when
yeah,
I
I mean, like they went what, like 7-2? That's not true. They
No.
didn't win a lot of games last year. I think they went 7-10.
that sounds right. Yeah, 7
yeah.
or maybe 8 wins.
Yeah, they weren't good.
No.
But
No.
they're definitely one of the more improved teams for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And I don't. I like this GPA thing. I think it's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, I like it.
Edmund Sweat. Oh yeah, that's right. Montez Sweat. That's right. Thank you, Armenian man. This is
Thank
why you're helpful to us.
Yep.
You can use the internet. We have to talk. Not like we are using the internet.
Yeah, well,
Anyhowser.
that's all right.
Any other things you want to talk about with the draft? Any
don't think
exciting
so.
things?
Nope, that's all I got.
No. What are we thinking? Just immediate reactions of like which team is going to be that surprise playoff team, and then which team will just collapse into the sun. Like will just like fall apart. This draft is going to be looked at as like a total failure.
That's a great question. I don't feel like I can well, if it's based on the draft, I still don't know, I guess. But I was thinking like it's hard to say because you don't know what's going to happen in the offseason.
Right. There's still
But-
technically time with training camp and
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera.
I don't know though. As far as maybe
I have a team, but
okay.
I want you to say one first, just because
As far as a
let's.
surprise team goes, maybe. Well, that's not really a surprise team. I mean, I'd like to say that's based on the season that we had last year, Chargers.
Hmm,
But
that's
like
fair. That's fair.
I don't. That's just based on the season that we've had. I don't know. I
Right.
can't think of. I don't know.
I
Who
got
you
one
got?
for you.
Who you got?
I got Arizona. I think they bring in a
Okay.
wide receiver one in Harrison.
Mhm.
Let me just take a look at the rest of their picks. I know they went either defense or offensive line.
Mhm.
Uh, like I don't know. Yeah, they get Darius Robinson as well
Mhm.
in the first round. Like I just really like what they
Maybe.
did.
Yeah.
I think they could be a little bit of a sneaker pick. And
Yeah. Yeah.
we don't know whether or not Kyler Murray like he's one of the
If
most
he's
elusive
healthy,
quarterbacks. Yeah, like
yeah,
but it's like is he even like good? Like I don't know. Like he's had like one good offensive season.
I think he can be if he stays healthy.
Yeah.
That's
Although
just me
I mean
though.
he's like my height, so it's like,
Yeah,
that's not going to be easy, but
that doesn't help.
yeah. But we should move along.
I agree.
So
To the ice
moving
guys,
yeah, let's do. Want to do NBA? Want to throw that in there?
we could do NBA real quick.
Let's do NBA. All right. So we have a lot to talk about here. So obviously, since we last met, we've had a couple of teams get eliminated. Did you know this might be news to you? Did you know that the Pelicans and the Thunder played a series?
I did. I
I
heard
don't
about
think
that.
you can't convince me this actually happened. Like, I think I
Yeah,
saw. I remember
I saw a
it
couple
being on my
highlights.
I remember seeing it on my TV at some points.
Yep.
But like I think somebody put it like this was like the least competitive series in a very long time. Like
Yeah,
it was
I heard
just
the Thunder
so
just steamrolled.
well, I mean, you don't have Zion if you're the Pels. I'm pretty sure Brandon Ingram wasn't playing either.
He played, I
Like
think, the last or he played a couple games
right. And it's like
or
those
like
are
one or
1 and
two.
2, right? Like of your team. So, yeah, it was a long shot for the Pels and y- I don't want to say like I don't want to say that the Pelicans are like in the worst spot ever, but it's also like
They're in
you've had
that spot.
Zion now for like what is it? It's been like 6 years, like since he got drafted,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
like he either can't stay healthy, or when he is healthy, it's like he's just not there. Like I don't know what you do for
Yeah.
the Pels. Like I know that they're
They're in a tough
I
spot.
think Brandon Ingram is in a contract year. You got to think they might be interested in trading him.
Yeah.
Like it's rough. It's rough. But the other team that got eliminated as well is one team that I do want to focus on, and it's
Mm.
the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix
Yes.
Suns get swept to the Timberwolves in
Deserved.
one of the more cathartic series. And there was a quote, and we were talking about this pre-show.
Yep.
This bothers me to no end. Kevin Durant
This is true. I've
quote
heard him say that.
yeah, Kevin Durant, quote, never felt comfortable with role in Vogel's Suns offense.
Now, Mike, let me
Mm-hmm.
ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
How many times do you see KD go into isolation?
A few times. At
Just a
least
few.
1, 2, or 3, or 5. A lot.
Or a lot.
He
Mhm.
put up a lot of points.
He did. Yeah.
But like this is your making. Like this is what you did. Like you come in and like every time you go to a team, you want to play general manager, you want to run the show. You say,
And it
I
doesn't
want
work.
my boy Bradley Beal. They go get Bradley Beal, and Bradley Beal becomes like a redwood, as in he doesn't move throughout that entire that elimination game from Bradley Beal after him saying, I don't ever get swept. I've never been swept. It's like, maybe you should have been swept earlier in your career, because
Maybe.
if this is you
Feel
trying to
free to
prevent
humble
being
yourself.
swept, I'd hate to know what you not trying is, because 8
Yeah.
points and then getting fouled out like earlier in the game is
Yeah.
pathetic. And then to hear Kevin Durant say this, not like this is the type of stuff that grinds my gears when players, when they lose, it's sour grapes about everything else other than their own performance. It's, oh, I didn't even like the coaching staff. Oh, my teammates wouldn't listen to me. Oh,
Yep.
they weren't, the crowd was too loud. Like all this nonsense. It's like dude, everywhere you've been outside of Golden State,
You haven't done
you've
anything.
lost.
You haven't
And
done
it's
anything.
been blowing leads like you did at OKC, up 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals, or Game 7 with the Nets, where you had the game won, and 1 foot on the line, too bad, so sad. And then now with this, where like every time, and then even last year when they get destroyed again, like it's like it's you. Like he's like James Harden if James Harden won titles. Like it's like
Yep.
you just keep moving, expecting everything as
Something
everybody
to be
else's
different.
problem.
Yep.
It's so aggravating. I don't get it. Like, why are you like this way? Why are you this way, Kevin Durant? Why? Explain it.
We
Somebody.
should ask him.
Yeah, we should. Maybe he'll come on the show.
Maybe. Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
after me calling him a problem.
Yep.
At least
He doesn't
I
like
didn't
that.
curse at him. I didn't say
That's
anything
true.
nasty.
This is
But
true.
it's like I just don't like. And Devin Booker, like he inspires nothing. Like he does not inspire no. And I think I went into this season like your core 3 of Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal to me was like 3 guys that are like infamous for being unreliable when they are the ones that are helming the ship, right? Like
Yep.
Devin Booker and the Suns didn't do anything until Chris Paul, the vet and the future Hall of Famer, came in and set the standard, right? And then Kevin Durant comes in, who is another one of these guys who's never done anything of note. And
Yep.
Bradley Beal,
Also.
like, has the guy played a meaningful game in most of his career? Pretty much no.
Maybe a game with John Wall, but that was it.
I forgot about John Wall. I forgot he existed. Is he still in the league?
I don't. Maybe.
Right. Well, then again, I was news to me that Rajon Rondo was still in the league. I couldn't when I saw I was like, I thought he retired like 10 years ago. I thought he
Nope.
retired with Kevin Garnett.
Nope. He
Goodness
just retired.
gracious. But I don't get it at all. Like Kevin Durant,
I don't know.
just stop. Just stop. Because you know what's worse is that I know that inevitably the Clippers are going to do the same sort of thing. They're just going to lose that series. I don't know if they're going to lose the series to the Mavs exactly, but I know they're going to probably lose their series at some point. And James Harden is going to do the same damn thing that Kevin Durant does. It's like I know they played on the same team for a very long time, and obviously they played with the Nets together. It's like they're like cut from the same cloth. Where
They kind of
like
are, yeah.
these NBA players who just put up a bunch of stats, who are 3-point shooters, and they're not team
whiners.
guys. They're not the guy that you put in as like
Run this team.
Yeah, run it. Like Charles Barkley put it the best. It's like you ride the bus. You can't drive the bus.
They don't drive
It's
the
like
bus. Nope.
time and time again, Kevin Durant, James Harden, all these kind of guys, they're bus riders. And there's nothing wrong with being a bus rider. Plenty of guys are Hall of Famers that are bus riders. Scottie Pippen was a bus rider, even to an extent, Dennis Rodman was a bus rider, right? Like
He's a rebound writer.
well, sure. But like it was like you were never like,
Yeah.
let's put
They knew
all
their
of our
roles.
hope into right. It's like somebody took over as the leader, whether not necessarily even from a statistical standpoint, because I know some people will say like, oh, well, Kevin Durant won Finals MVP. It's like, yeah, I mean, again, it's like choosing to defend Steph Curry or Klay Thompson from the 3, or Kevin Durant, and they opted to leave Kevin.
Yep.
So good job.
There you go.
But another thing we had to mention, of course, is the Lakers. They avoid the sweep, but they still lose.
Gentleman's sweep.
Immediate thoughts on the Lakers as a team.
I don't know where they go, to be
No,
quite honest. I know they're
it's
going to
not
fire
good.
Darvin Ham.
Well,
They have to. If they
it's like
don't, I don't know. But then as
Duncan
far as
Darvin.
well, yeah, and as far as
Former
their
Piston.
players go, yeah, there you go. As far as their players go, I mean, they're all like they don't really have young guys minus Austin Reeves, I think. He's not
Yeah,
that
and
young technically either.
yeah, no, and I mean, as an Austin Reeves hater myself,
Well-
if Austin Reeves is your like young core, your future,
You're done.
it's not looking good. Okay,
No.
it's not looking good.
I don't think so. But yeah, I honestly have no idea where they're gonna go. I think
Well,
that it's gonna be
yeah.
based on what Le GM
What the
Has to
G?
say.
Yeah, the decision, lay decision.
Lay decision.
Like,
Lay GM.
I just like
Yeah.
every time that like LeBron seems
He's just getting old.
like it seems like he's either like he wants to leave or like he just likes to control the narrative, right? Like, so it's
Yep.
not so much that he's like, I've already made a decision. It's like, well, I might, and if you pay me, then maybe I'll stay.
Yeah.
Should I stay or should I go? I don't. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know that that's really a good relationship to have with a team. And look, LeBron has done this his whole career. He did it in Cleveland, and obviously he leaves Cleveland. He goes to Miami, goes back to Cleveland. He did it when he left Cleveland the second time. Like,
Yep.
he'll do this thing where, like, by the time he's done with a team, that
He's
team
done.
is down bad, right? Like,
Yep.
it took the Cavs like half a decade to get back,
come back
into
to
the
the
playoffs, right?
Yep.
And I don't even know if they're sustainable right now because I don't know what the deal with Donovan Mitchell is. And we'll talk about that series for a little bit because we might have a actual really good series on our hand there. But like on the other side of it, the Nuggets, like they were down every single half of that game of that series, and
then
they won in 5 games.
Yeah.
Like that. The series between the Nuggets and the Timberwolves is going to be must-see TV. If you don't watch the
It's gonna be
NBA,
a good
like,
series.
at least try to catch some of these games because you
That's
got
gonna be
Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray.
That's
It's one of those things where this is where the NBA is at its best. Like, those are two teams they were down bad for a very long time. They
And now they're
built,
back.
they developed, they got their own guys. Murray, that's their guy. Jokic, that's their guy. Porter Jr., that's their guy. And then they supplement with your KCPs of the world. And the same thing with the Timberwolves, right? They bring in Rudy Gobert. I remember at the time, people were like, what are the Wolves doing?
Mhm.
Nobody's laughing at the Wolves now. I'll say
No.
that.
Nope.
But, like, as far as the Lakers go, it's like I like some of the individual players, but it's like the leaders of it, and this is no disrespect necessarily to LeBron. It's like he's kind of in his own world at this point. Like he no longer is like, I don't think there is that drive that he used to have
and
to
I don't
really
know
go out and win a title. Like late 2010s LeBron, this ain't him.
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say there's a quote that I saw, I think something about how he was talking about like, family's important to him now or something. He's 30.
Yeah.
What is he now? 39?
39 years old, I believe.
That's
I mean,
insane.
like, eventually it's like, you don't want to have like walking problems, right? Like, eventually you tear your ACL,
You're done.
At age 39. It's not like it's going to recover like you would have when you're 24.
Yeah, and so like I don't know. I think it's just and it's weird because you don't want to say age is catching up with him because he's still
because he's
great.
still really good.
He's still really good, but it's just like
I think it's the drive. I think it's like he can do it, but eventually it does kind of weigh on you.
Yeah, his breaking point of like still trying to push a team is like it's down. He's had to do it in Cleveland.
Yeah.
He had to do it in 2020. Well, I mean, AD
he did
and
it a little bit in 2020.
him and AD kind of were better.
Yeah,
and AD was better. And not injured.
That and the Heat also were dealing with a lot of injuries.
And the Heat did not.
It was a weird series. I'm not gonna. It's not his fault. Somebody had to win that tournament, so it just happened to be them.
So nonetheless, I mean, I still think he is a great player and one of the best ever. Yeah. But at 39 years old,
eventually it's like he kind of done it all, right? Like he doesn't. He's not gonna win another MVP, right?
No,
like he's gonna make another All-Star game. Like
guaranteed.
I don't think it's possible for. Yeah, really. I mean, like, yeah, great. You exceeded the latest assist, title. Okay, cool. Like, I think like at this point, it's like, well, I guess if the Lakers take Bronny, he'll play another year.
He'll be back, but that's it.
But like at that point, it's like he probably he's talking about he wants to go into like ownership or like, management of some kind, and like okay, like sure. I mean. I don't know. Like in my mind, it might not be wise to do that because we saw what happened when Michael Jordan took that route. Because a lot of times you might be good at something, but that doesn't mean you're good at everything.
No.
So
and usually the guys who have played, they have just such a different mindset than guys who haven't.
Right.
Business and just
right. And sometimes they're just not good scouts. Like it just makes sense. Like you don't.
Yeah.
You don't watch as much because you're practicing and you're conditioning and all that stuff. But
This is true.
anyway, the other series that are going on, we got a couple of games tonight here.
Yes.
Right now it's Knicks Sixers. I don't know what the score is there.
Let's see. It's the refresh button over here. Let's see. We got Knicks up 35-28 in the second quarter with 7 minutes and 10 seconds remaining.
I mean, I would feel bad for the Sixers if not for the fact that they're in Philadelphia, so they're getting everything they deserve and then some.
A quick stat for you. Fun fact. First quarter, Philadelphia was up 26-17. This second quarter, the Knicks have scored 18. The 76ers have scored 2.
I just like everything.
Joel
Everything
Embiid has
is
3
like
points
he's got 3 points in an elimination game.
in 13 minutes. Yep.
I know, I
Maxey
get
is
it.
there.
You're down 3-1, but like, goodness great, don't do another game 7 last year, Joel. Like, don't do that. Like, he's got basically nobody around him. I guess he's got Maxey, and the corpse of Tobias Harris.
That is not even a corpse. He is so far dead.
Oh man. Oh, Max
I
Steel
hate-
incoming.
It's
But
true.
no, I mean, like, I think I mentioned it last week. Like, the Knicks are kind of this weird team where I don't think a lot of people put too much attention on them. They could be a kind of a sneaky team. Like, what's his name? Julius Randle. He's still hurt, isn't he? He's gonna come
Yeah,
back at some
The
point.
fact that he's still hurt and they're
yeah.
gonna I think they're gonna 4-1 the Sixers.
Well, Jalen Brunson is
He's
killer.
insane.
I remember Charles Barkley.
DiVincenzo.
Oh yeah,
Beautiful backcourt.
DiVincenzo's a dog. But I did also see that Bojan Bogdanovic is shut down for the rest of the playoffs, so they're gonna miss him.
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
he's an important piece.
Yeah. How is Alec Burks doing for them? Is he doing anything of note? Is he even playing?
No.
Okay, well that makes me feel great that we had a guy starting for us who is not even playing
on a playoff.
He's not even off the bench. He's just not playing. Period. That's
correct. Yep.
That's great. Well, I guess they probably feel stupid for trading for him, but not like they had to give up anything.
I think their 8-man rotation, I think, in the playoffs looks like 7 right now, but I think they probably have an 8. But they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They might do a 7-man rotation in the playoffs. I don't know.
Well, I mean, they're doing a 7-man rotation right now. I'm assuming once you get Randall, you could probably that probably becomes 8, right? So, which is not that unusual.
No, I think 7 to 8 is about
it's pretty much the standard when it comes to the playoffs. But another series, we're gonna get to the one that you're thinking of. We'll get to that last, probably for your own sake. This Cavs Magic series,
it's good.
I was kind of done with the Magic because it's like those first 2 games. I was like, wow, maybe they're just not ready for it. You know, obviously the Cavs had a little bit more playoff experience, but
flip it around.
No, I mean tied up. Like both teams won their games at home.
So we'll see.
And then later tonight, you know, we're gonna see what happens on NBA TV. Why do they do that? Why do they put playoff games? I mean, I have YouTube TV, so I can get it. It's not a problem for me. But I know plenty of people. Yeah, right. Plenty of people who don't have cable.
Yeah.
Or do have cable. It's like you don't get NBA TV. You got to pay extra for that. But whatever.
Still.
But I really like this series. I think these are 2 teams. Like I'm not a huge Cleveland sports fan in general because they're kind of close, and I already have a distaste for Cleveland because LeBron killed the Pistons. And I will never forgive him for that.
That is true.
But I mean, you got an interesting set of guys. Like these are again, it's like we were talking about with the Wolves and the Nuggets, where it's not like, you know, you just have these
like
superstars. Yeah, right. It's like these are built teams. These are teams that took years and years of drafting, and they get to where they're at.
And granted, like the Cavs, like Donovan Mitchell is their guy, and then I think the Magic, I guess, is considered Paulo Banchero, which is weird to say. That's Paulo Banchero,
right?
After like
but Paulo Banchero was the #1 overall pick, so it's like that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. In the same way, like the Cavs didn't get lucky in the lottery, so what do? Okay, let's go out and go buy Donovan Mitchell. Let's go get him. And
they built around.
I mentioned it a little bit. Like I don't know if he's going to stick around with them. If I was them, I'd try to get him to stick around, but I don't think he wants to stick around. That's the problem. But I mean, you still got Evan Mobley as well. He was a high round pick. And who else? Don't they have the guy from Arizona? I can't think of his name.
Is it Isaac Okoro?
Is Mathurin? Is he on their team?
Oh, Benedict Mathurin.
Or is he on the Pacers?
He was on the Pacers. I think he was traded though. I think you're correct.
Am I crazy?
Let me see.
I
Got
could have.
players here.
I don't know why I had
They have-
Benedict Mathurin on my mind with the Cavs. Maybe I'm totally off here.
Yeah, let's see. They have.
I mean, you could just run down their starting five because I'm already bad with names anyway. So I'll
I
probably
don't-
know them when I hear them.
Let me see if he's still on the Pacers. He might be.
I now that I'm thinking about it, I think he totally is.
Yeah, he's still on the Pacers.
Okay.
Yeah, you might be thinking of like Karis LeVert, maybe, or Isaac Okoro. on the
Okoro
Cavs.
sounds sort of familiar.
Yeah,
But
he's
either
pretty
way,
good.
it's like these are mostly guys that were drafted by these teams, and I think that's
Yeah.
what's the most exciting and fun about
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
It's not just a super team.
Nope.
I would talk about the Celtics Heat series, but
Mm.
I don't think that the Heat exist.
Not anymore.
No. I mean the Celtics are like killing them in absolutely brutal fashion.
Yep.
The one game that the Heat won, they shot like a billion threes. like they made like 20 some threes or something like that. And well, what do you know? That's not sustainable.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Celtics might be the best team in the league right now, in the playoffs, I should say. But again, you never know. I think they're probably better than both the Cavs and the Magic, though. So more than likely, I think they're gonna make the conference finals.
I think
the
so.
question then becomes who out of the rest of these Eastern Conference teams that are technically still alive, who is their?
Where do
I
they
think
go?
probably their next best foe would be the Knicks. You know,
Do they play him in that like branch though?
well, they'd have to play them in the conference finals.
That's true. That's true.
So,
Yes,
like, that's sort of as far as teams from the Eastern Conference that look the best. It's probably
the
them.
Knicks. Yeah.
But we have to talk about one more series stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I think I'm gonna try to let you just let it all out to the people.
Yeah.
So
Well-
your Milwaukee Bucks are down 3-1 to the Indiana Pacers, a team that hadn't won a playoff series since like Reggie Miller was on the team.
Yep.
Uh,
And they're going to probably win tonight because this just in, folks. 4 minutes ago, according to X,
we have
aka
breaking
Twitter.
news.
Are you ready?
Yes, breaking news.
Giannis and Dame are both out for tonight's game.
Oh,
So they're gonna win the series.
Yeah, no, that's not good. You know,
No.
it's bad when like they're doing those pre-show or those pre-game graphics, and the guy they put on there is like Chris Middleton.
Or Brooke Lopez. I got nothing
Brooke
against
Lo-
Chris. I got nothing against them.
nothing against
They're
either
great
of those
players.
guys. Fair,
They're not
but
superstar
it's
players,
like,
though.
It's like they got
Nope.
Tyrese Halliburton. You have Bobby Portis.
All right. Don't
It's
even
like-
compare.
It's like that
Pascal
one image.
Siakam.
Yeah,
Doesn't
oh
even
my
compare.
gosh.
Yeah.
that
He's
fir-
been a
I think
dog.
it was game 1 or game 2.
37
Pascal
and
Siakam
10 or
dropped
something.
like a 40 bomb. I was
like,
I
oh
was
my
watching that.
lordy.
I was like, I'm not gonna text Seth about this. I'm just gonna,
No.
I'm gonna let it simmer because I don't want him to be mad at me.
Yeah, so
Uh,
real quick, like I don't even Pascal Siakam has been insane for them.
Yeah.
He's 36 and 13 in game 1. What's
Yeah.
what's game 2? He
Game
drops
2, he dropped I think that was
37 and 11.
Yeah.
Game 3. 17 and 9. Okay.
Still,
Not everyone's
like,
perfect.
Yeah, not like that was probably a game where like either Halliburton or one of these cats probably dropped like a 30 bomb or something.
And then he's gone down. So he's really started off
cooled
hot,
off.
and he's cooled off now.
But like
But
again,
still,
it's like at
Miles
that point, it's
Turner
like,
and Tyrese Halliburton had 29 and 24 in game
whew.
4.
Oh
Who
man,
the
we
hell's
took
Miles
Killian
Turner?
Hayes.
I'm just kidding. Yep,
I'll
I
never
know.
forget
Imagine
that.
Yep. So anyway,
Ow! Ow!
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at this stage, we
If-
don't know the fate of
The games.
We
score.
don't. Yeah, we don't know the fate of the games. I mean, it's not teams
We'll
that come
see.
back down 3-1. It's not impossible.
But those
But we
teams
also
typically might
know who.
have their generational talent. Maybe
Yeah.
not Giannis Antetokounmpo, but whatever. But
Yeah, I mean, like
we'll
this
see.
has got to be one of the more disappointing teams of the season in general. I mean, like you
And I
thought
would
bringing
like
in
to think-
Dame was gonna
Yeah.
really solidify this team to be
And I'd like
top
to
in the
thank
East.
The
And
front office for firing Adrian Griffin and hiring Doc Rivers. I'd like to thank you guys
well,
so
what was
much.
funny is like I want to say Giannis didn't like Adrian Griffin, but wasn't he the one who wanted him to go in the first place? Like they get rid of Budenholzer, which was already like okay, like you get rid
Sounds
of the
like
guy
you
who won a
just-
championship, and
Granted, they
mean,
got
like,
bounced.
Yeah, right. But like, what's the difference? It's like you were losing with him, right? And you're losing without him. Like it's one of those things where it's like,
Yep.
you might as well ride with the guy who you won a championship with, and then whatever. If you lose,
Oh
well,
well.
I like the devil I know than the devil I don't know. Because right
Yes.
now you're in coaching purgatory with Doc Rivers, who may or may not be fired if they lose this series. And like that's not good for Doc Rivers. Like Doc Rivers
No.
is basically like he's not gonna have. There's no incentive for him to really go all in because for one, I mean he's Doc Rivers and that probably would be to his detriment.
Yeah.
But further, it's like why should he care? His job is basically already decided because two of his best players don't want to play. I'm just excited for the RDC World skit about this.
I'm ready for it. I don't know. I'm just so glad to be a Bucks fan and get bounced in the first round again. I love it. Being one of the best teams in the regular season and then bye-bye.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
well.
at least now, because granted, I think if Giannis was playing all of these games, this would be much different. He dropped 62 and 64 against them this year.
Yeah.
Because they can't defend him.
Yeah.
They can't.
I mean, it's hard to defend him.
This is true.
But it's like
Pacers are like, I don't even know. I think he dropped like, it was something crazy. Like, let me see. Giannis.
They're a division opponent, aren't they?
Scoring. Yeah, they are.
Not that divisions matter in the NBA at all, but I know that you
scoring. Or high scoring game this season. 64 against the Pacers. He also scored 62.
Yikes.
And it's Giannis, a guy who does not shoot threes well at all. He shoots ranges, not great. He can now.
He drives to the basket.
He does dunks.
He drives to the basket. He plays defense. I mean, he gets
64.
rebounds. Yeah, that's yeah, I mean, it's hard to win without your stars. No doubt about it. So like
I don't know.
On the other end of it, I guess, the Pacers are a fun young team.
They are.
Halliburton's real good. Obviously, they trade for
Siakam. They're fun to watch. Like, for example, like they dropped, what was it, in game 4? They just shot like 50% from 3.
Something like that.
You can't do anything about that.
Yeah, what do you get? Yeah, I mean,
actually,
they're
coach,
just good.
But they're fast paced.
It's I don't know where their future lies. Like, I don't know what the ceiling is going to be for a guy like Halliburton.
I'm thinking maybe
Mathurin wait, did we establish they still have Mathurin, right?
No. Well, yes, they do. Sorry, they do.
They do still have Mathurin. So
yeah,
they're a solid team. They're gonna be playing well probably for the foreseeable future. And it seems to me that I mean, if you look at a team like the Nuggets, for example, as a model of success,
who may win again.
Yeah, right. They might win again. It's like, well, it does take time. It does take a little bit of lose. The Nuggets lost in the playoffs a lot. They had to deal with injuries, to be fair, but still, I mean,
yeah.
I think I don't even know who the Pacers coach is, but I think he's been there.
It's Rick Carlisle now.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yep.
Man. But I mean, things are heating up. We'll see next week. We'll have probably the entire the conference semifinals will be set at that point. Probably not. I don't think mathematically it is a guarantee.
That is true, but more than likely,
because technically the Heat could come back, and the Bucks could come back, and the Sixers could come back,
or the Clippers, Mavs could go 7 games.
Yeah, that could go 7, technically, but
it's possible.
We're probably going to have most of the series at that point decided.
And I got a pretty good feeling of what it's going to be. So
right.
Yeah, we'll see.
Don't we all? So now we're gonna try to do a little speed run here because Seth has been out of the loop for the NHL playoffs.
This is true, very much.
We'll try to run by it real quick. So Florida and New York both advancing. The Panthers take the Lightning to town. The Lightning avoid the sweep, but in the elimination game they win 6-1. Although to be fair, the game was a lot closer than it seemed.
Than what it seemed like.
There was empty net goals near the end.
Okay.
But Tampa, they were a sort of close to being a dynasty in the making, in my opinion. They won back-to-back titles, and since they just haven't been able to do it. And Florida, I think they're a team on a mission. Last year they get basically gentlemen's sweeped in the Stanley Cup to the Vegas Knights. But the thing is, though, I want to say we'll get to that in a second because we got to talk about the Maple Leafs because funny
Yes.
things are happening. But the Rangers, on the other end of it, they do end up sweeping the Capitals, which would have been who the Red Wings would have played if they made the playoffs instead of stabbing themselves in the general area.
Sure.
But the Rangers also, I mean, they were the President's Trophy winner. They were the best team in hockey. I don't know why I did like a really heavy Canadian accent when I said hockey.
Hockey.
It just like really came out there.
Hey, that's what
But
happens.
they were the best team in the NHL. It wasn't a particularly entertaining series. They just beat the hell out of them.
They
They just took the
win.
Capitals and the corpse
Yeah.
of Alex Ovechkin, and they were just like and they just bashed his head against a wall.
That was it. Yeah.
Poor old Russian man.
Yeah.
But I have to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs because they're gonna do it again, Seth. They're gonna lose in the first round. You know, I think it was some stat before last year when they finally won a first round series. Like, I think they had not won a first round series since like at least the 90s or something like that. It was like the worst stretch you could possibly, and they're just maybe they're due for it again. Maybe they're ready to go. It's like, you know what they said, you know what? It's too much pressure. And then I saw something earlier that was Austin Matthews, who's probably their best player, if not one of their best players. He has some undisclosed injury, so he's not going to play the elimination game. And it's like, yeah, I wouldn't want to play either. I'm on this bum ass franchise. Yeah, it's like what, like, you know, you're kind of stuck if you're on the Maple Leafs and you're really good, and that's a lot of their guys because it's like something ain't right. I don't like. You need to get out of Toronto if you're a Maple Leaf. Just play literally anywhere else, and you would probably have a better shot.
You'd probably be fine.
Play for Vancouver.
Yeah.
Even though they've never won a Stanley Cup, they might win one this year.
Yeah, you never know.
But let's see what else. The other series that actually is probably going to be really good because most of these series in the first round have not really been all that close.
That's what it looks like.
It's the Stars and Knights, all tied up at 2 last night. Big win for the Dallas Stars over the Vegas Knights in Vegas. Vegas, obviously the reigning Cup champs. Stars, they're another team that feels like a team on a mission. They've kind of been underperforming the last couple of playoffs. As far as, I mean, they're a really good defensive team. They got Ottinger in net. They got Wyatt Johnston as one of their forwards. They're a fun team when things are going. But they've sort of struggled to get things going a lot of the time.
Sure.
But right now, it looks like there might be a series there. But the rest of these series, I mean, Colorado, again, they're just beating the hell out of Winnipeg. Edmonton, beating the hell out of LA. Nashville, my goodness. I don't know if you saw, if you were up on the social medias. Nashville was up, like, it was something like 3-1, I want to say, going into the third period.
Okay.
And I think they lost that game they lost it in overtime, but it was like final 10 seconds. They're up 3-2 and they give up 2 like empty net goals in like 2 minutes or something like that.
Wow.
They don't score on the empty net. And so
you're just sitting there.
I don't know. Nashville's just they're just cursed, I guess. Poor city.
Although
to be fair, it's like your team's name is the Predators. It's really hard to like root for Predators.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, let's go Predators. Let's
go Preds.
That's like, what do we? I hope we're talking about hockey. And then meanwhile, I guess Carolina up 3-1 over the Islanders.
Looks like it.
This is another series that I predicted to be kind of boring. I didn't think it would be one-sided. But yeah, the Islanders just aren't all that good. They fired their coach not to start the season, but in the middle of the season. They're bringing Patrick Waugh, who has done a pretty good job. Obviously, he gets them to the playoffs, but yeah, Carolina just kind of unmatched, and they're really good defensively. They can put up some points. It's gonna be assuming they win the series, which they probably will. It should be an interesting matchup between them and New York. Because I think they're basically polar opposites. So you have New York, who's a really high scoring team, and then Carolina, who's not really a high scoring team. So immovable object, unstoppable force. Immovable object, unstoppable force. Clash, things, stuff. Fun.
Yeah. We'll have to see. But this is what happens when I'm, not following NHL stuff.
No
idea.
Good. Yeah, no. I mean, it's fun. It's fun.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, right now, I think there's a couple of games going on, but I don't know which ones.
Yep.
I want to say.
There's the Hurricanes and the Islanders are playing right now.
Fun.
And then let's see. I just had it pulled up. It
I can see.
was the Maple Leafs and the Bruins.
So yeah, they're probably are the Maple Leafs losing?
It's tied in the second
Ooh.
period, 1-1.
Ooh, exciting stuff. So
Oh yeah,
definitely have to throw that on probably after the show.
for sure.
And real quick, well, maybe not real quick, but to round off the show,
Somewhat quick.
we do got some baseball. As I'm
Mhm.
watching the Tigers battle the Cardinals here. They just tied up the game 5-5.
Very nice.
So that's good.
That's good.
So Tigers win 3 straight series this past week. They beat the Tampa Bay Rays. They beat the Royals this past weekend in 3-game set. But earlier today, they blow a 1-0 lead that they had going into the 9th in the first game of a doubleheader to the Cardinals. And right now, they're all tied up with the Cardinals in the second game. Cardinals obviously have a chance to win the 3-game set if they win this second game here. Tigers trying to at least split it to try to win the set there. Taking a look here at the rest of their schedule upcoming, because that's where things are a little concerning. So they technically have a winning record through April, which, by the way, has not happened since 2016.
There you go.
So
Round of applause.
that's good. But one problem.
Yep.
Their next week or the next weekend of series.
that
so
won't
they had
be
the
a
day off
winning-
on Thursday.
Yep.
They got the Yankees on the road, then the Guardians on the road,
Ooh.
and then no, excuse me.
Well,
they got the Astros at home.
Oh,
But
boy.
the Astros kind of stink for some reason. We'll get into that in a little bit.
that is true.
But-
yeah, they should win that.
Here's the thing. I'm not like the team's offense is not good. Like, it's just it's the same sort of thing going into the month of it or entering the month of May. The offense is, I mean, I'm not going to
good.
pull it up. It's ranked in the bottom third in every main statistical category. I will talk about one particular player that I am getting incredibly concerned about, and that is one Spencer Torkelson. Spencer Torkelson, first baseman, last year hit 30 bombs. Looked like he was trying to turn a corner. But right now, he's a negative WAR player. He has yet to hit a home run a month in.
Yep.
It's not technically there's a lot of guys that haven't hit home runs, but it's still concerning when he's supposed to be your main option at first base and he is not hitting anything.
Yes.
And it would be one thing if his advanced numbers, his baseball savant numbers were good. If you pull up that baseball savant page, the goal is you want to see a lot of red. And there's not a lot of red. There's a lot of blue. So he's in the bottom percentile in expected batting average. He's in the bottom percentile in expected slugging. He's in the bottom percentile in barrel percentage, in hard hit rate, in I don't even know what sweet spot is, but he's in the bottom percentage of that. The only thing you can say positive is that he doesn't chase too much. He's above average in his chase rate, but he's below average in his whiff rate. I should say below league, like he is one of the higher whiff rates. He's about average in K percentage. He's about average in walk percentage. Like, there's just not a whole lot. And then he's not good defensively.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who was taken first overall, like I said, and there's still time. But in his career right now, we're looking at a 221 average, a 689 OPS, and 39 home runs. That's unacceptable. And again, there's still time, but it's concerning.
I was gonna say, but that's a big but.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even some of the projections on Fangraphs, I mean, like, some of these projections have him hitting like 230 going into the year. It's like that's not great, right? Like, if he's gonna be I expected you to play like Pete Alonso or Paul Goldschmidt or Freddie Freeman. You're taking first overall. And to be fair, some of those guys took a few years to really take off, but you can't be a negative WAR player and be playing every day. Like, you just can't.
I agree.
And I don't know. It's tough because there's a bomb into right field. Wenzel Perez. See, this is sort of what I'm talking about. All right.
Yeah.
Now, Wenzel Perez, I don't think anybody, maybe outside of me and a few other Tiger like nerds knew who the heck Wenzel Perez was.
Mm-hmm.
And Wenzel Perez has now
Never heard of
hit
him.
like 3 home runs. He's hit 3 more home runs than Torkelson has.
Yeah.
And he was like a nobody. Like he wasn't even on the starting roster. He got called up because of an injury, and he's lighting it up. So it's like,
Yeah.
Torque, like I want to root for him. A lot of the other young guys are stepping up. Like Riley Green is playing really well. Gary Carpenter playing really well. We just talked about Perez. Like hitting is contagious. That is just a fact of baseball. When team starts to hit, everybody just starts to figure it out, especially in a game-to-game situation. But I don't know. I just the more time passes, the less room you get to just say, "Hey, Torque, you gonna figure it out?" Like, it's rough. But I wanted to just talk about the standings, if you do not mind.
Sure.
Given that we're a month into the season, I figure it's a good time to check in on things.
Sure.
So unfortunately for your Padres, not looking great.
Seems
14
like
and 18.
Same thing as last year, but
Yeah, a little bit. But a
Similar.
couple of teams to talk about.
Yes.
The White Sox.
Yeah. Heard about them.
It's not good.
No.
It's not good. Apparently,
No.
I saw some stat that they had like separate losing streaks of like 4, 5, 6, and 7 in the season or something like that. It's like, huh? How's that even possible?
3 and 7.
Last 10, 3 and 7, negative 78 run differential. They are 1 and 13 on the road.
Play defense and maybe you'll win.
I don't even
Learn
know
how to
if they
catch a
could do
baseball?
that.
I don't know.
Look, I get it. They went it. This was a restart year for the White Sox. But just like, it's funny, just like to explain to a lot of sports fans how quickly things can change. A couple of years ago, the White Sox won the division. I think they were one of the best teams in the American League that year, and they got destroyed out of the playoffs. And ever since that moment, they have crashed and burned completely. Tim Anderson's not on the team anymore, which is probably to their benefit because he stinks. But other teams around the league, the Astros. This is really surprising. The Astros 9 and 19. 3 of their last 7 they've won, or 3 of the last 10, I should say, they've won. Last place in the AL West. I mean, this is a team that just made the championship game. They were just in the American League Championship Series. And they're just, I don't know what's going on. It's not looking great. Not great,
Bob.
Bob.
The bed over there.
Yeah, not good. Not good. And then I guess, well, the Dodgers are doing Dodger things.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. And then I wanted to just look at the wild card if we could, as it pulls it up, because I want to. It's taking a while. Oh, there it loaded. Because there's a lot of right now. There's still a lot of ties because still not too much separation. But basically, in the American League, you're looking at the Yankees, the Royals, technically the Tigers, and the Red Sox, both tied with the same record. Although the Tigers right now are winning, so they could clinch that spot. In the NL, you have a few teams that are kind of they're secured in their spots, but there's a few teams that are very close to coming by. There's the Nationals, who are 14 and 14. You got the Mets as well, which is a little surprising. I don't think anybody thought the Mets would be doing anything of note.
No, I don't believe so.
But the Reds, Ellie De La Cruz and the Fighting Reds.
I really wish Ellie De La Cruz would like to play with us, but he doesn't.
No. The Brew Crew, Milwaukee Brewers, they're still sticking around. They just seem like a team that just doesn't ever die. They just are very competent. They're not like, I never feel like they're like a threat to win the World Series, but they're always kind of there.
They're around.
And then the Phillies, I mean, they're the Phillies. They're basically an October team anyway, because Dave Dombrowski does not care about the rest of the year.
It's true.
He builds his teams to play well at opportune moments. And I hate it, but it's true. It's just
that's how it works.
So, meanwhile, the Padres are 3.5 games out of the wild card, which is not bad. Okay, you got a lot of games. You can
compared to last year, maybe we can turn it around.
It could be worse. You could be the Marlins.
Okay, yeah, we could be.
That would be bad.
Yeah,
So yeah.
we'll
Obviously
see.
still a lot of time to go. I think
Yeah,
basically these standings are worth about as much as
they're nothing right
like
now.
like the garbage on the street. And it's like
Yeah, they're nothing.
some of the teams as you expect, but a lot of movement can happen. I mean, especially in the AL Central. Like the Guardians are leading it right now, but for all we know, it could be the Royals, it could be the Tigers. Hell, maybe the Twins will figure out how to play baseball again.
Maybe we don't know.
You know, remember when they won the AL Central last year?
Yeah,
Wasn't that fun?
the Twins.
Not for me. But it was
Well,
fun for them,
yeah,
I imagine.
yeah.
But some other surprise teams. The Rays, they're not
Mhm.
looking too hot. 14 and 16. They're usually
Which is, I was
just
gonna say, they're normally
the-
like up there, right?
well. It doesn't help when Wander Franco was wandering his Franco into places that it shouldn't belong.
This is true. Very good
But
point.
I mean, I also just saw the Angels, Mike Trout undergoing some knee surgery, so he'll be out. Not
they don't
necessarily for
have-
the season. I mean, they were already bad.
Without
but-
Otani, they're basically
yeah, without Otani, it's not great.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Yeah.
And then they lose Trout. It's going to be even worse. So
Yeah.
if you have the Angels on your schedule, which you do because every team plays every team in the league.
MLB.
So you just want to play them right now. Like that would be the
Yes.
best time to play them. Because you
do.
don't want to have to play them with Mike Trout. Because
No, I'll pass
man
playing Mike
is-
Trout. Thanks.
yeah,
though.
that's not fun. It's not fun.
Yep,
You know it's
exactly.
bad though when the Oakland A's, who are soon to be the Sacramento A's, who are soon to be the Las Vegas A's,
Are above.
you know it's
4
bad when they're
teams,
ahead of you in any capacity. If you are below the Oakland, this should be like
or 3.
it should be a new stat. Like
If you are below
like
the Oakland
below
A's,
like Oakland like wins above Oakland A's. Like instead of WAR, it's just like how much better your team is or
Yep.
worse than the Oakland A's.
yeah,
And if you're like in the negative, it's like you just sell the team. Just get rid of your team. You
You-
don't deserve it. Things are bad.
that
right?
team does not deserve to be a team.
No. So Marlins, Rockies, it's not good.
Bye
It's not
bye.
good.
Bye
Yeah,
bye.
it's weird
Yeah.
to me that the Diamondbacks have the same record as the A's. That's
It's
you
weird.
know, hey, you hate to see it for Eduardo Rodriguez. You know, he didn't want to go to the West Coast, so the West Coast said, "We
Here
don't
we
like
go."
you anyway," even
Yeah.
though that's not on the coast. It's
all
in
right.
the NL West. They play in California.
They play in California.
Well, they
It's
don't.
fine.
They play teams in California.
It's okay.
At least you're
I
ahead of
understand.
them.
That is true.
So,
Yep.
you're not in last place. Then again, it's pretty hard to be in last place when the Rockies are in your division.
Yep.
It's
This
rough.
is true.
It's
Yeah,
rough out here in the streets.
it is. It
What's
really is.
the we have any score updates in the NBA playoffs?
Let's look, shall we?
Let's take a
NBA
let's take a
before
gander.
the show ends, I guess, right?
Yeah, just before we wrap up the show.
It
let's see where we're at.
appears halftime. Knicks
Hmm.
are up 49-43 on the Sixers.
Okay. Okay. All right. It's game.
And then
2-possession game.
coming towards the end of the first quarter in the Cavs and Magic, we have the Cavs up by 21 not up by 21. They have 21. Magic have 17. So it is a
Okay.
4-point game.
I was gonna say. I was like, goodness. That
Yeah.
is not good.
No, yeah. So
Hmm. Well, that
seems
was
like
fun.
seems like 2 good games here. You know,
Hmm.
they're close. So
Oh, well, that's super.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right. Well,
There
we
you
had a
go.
lot. We had to get
Oh,
through
yeah.
a lot, but we did it.
we did it.
We did
We're
it.
here.
Hour and a half.
There
Went
you go.
through. But folks, but peeps, but everybody, if you enjoyed, you gotta hit that subscribe button. We're live
of
every
course.
Tuesday.
Every
It's fun
Tuesday.
stuff. Seth
Yep.
might die by next week.
We don't know.
Depending on what the Bucks do. If the
Yep.
Bucks come back, I think like Seth is gonna be beside himself. Like
I
it's gonna
think
be.
I would ascend into heaven at that point.
I think he's just. It's like we're
I'm-
coming live from another dimension. That's
Yep.
what like it's like
I'll be
Seth,
live from
why
heaven.
why is everything around you glowing and your face is
Bobby
eternally
Portis
bright.
carried us.
Yeah, Bobby Portis
Not getting
Bobby
ejected.
Portis had his Michael Jordan arc. He just
Exactly.
he became
Chris Middleton became Michael Jordan.
Ooh.
That is a storyline I would like to see.
You know what's funny is like there was a post on the Pistons Reddit,
Mhm.
which is a place of great brain power.
I was gonna say, I have great intellect, I'm sure.
But this was a fairly, at least somewhat like reasonable. It was like a post where it was like a bunch of players
Somewhat of a good take.
that we could actually reasonably get And one of them was Bobby Portis.
This is true.
And I was like, the fact that if we got him, he would be the best player on our team tells me exactly everything I need to know about this team. Is that
He's the sixth man on our team.
yeah, right. He's the sixth man on a top of a playoff team. And he's an NBA champion.
Yep.
But when he comes to the Pistons, he's the number one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's fun. Better than Tobias Harris, though.
This is
I
true.
would,
This is very true.
although at this point, and we'll get into it more when the NBA offseason officially begins. Basically, any move that the Pistons make, I don't.
It's not
care.
going to be good.
I'm not going to. I'm going to immediately hate it. Like
It
I
will
don't I, like it. Short
not
of
good.
them like firing Troy Weaver, I will hate
It's not
every single move.
It's
Like
not.
it's just not going to work. But
Yep.
yeah. Anyway, if you enjoyed, hit the subscribe, hit the like, spread
All
the
the
show, share it, like it, things, comments. We'll talk about it. So,
Bingo.
anything else? Anything else, Seth? Any other
That's
words?
all I got. I sure hope
All
I'm here
right.
next week. That's all I got.
That's the hope. That's
That is the hope.
All right, folks. Have a good night. See you
Goodbye,
next week.
everybody.
Goodbye.